So I slept on that beach mat for 2 weeks and just doing what I could to get some sleep, and I did pretty well. What I found, there were a couple other things I was missing there, and one of them was toilet paper. And the other was a mirror. The toilet paper issue, I never did figure that one out. I mean, there are places that don't use toilet paper, but I'm still trying to catch up with some of those people from India to ask them about the left hand, right hand, and how you really make that work. Because I had 2 weeks and I never quite figured that one out. And the mirror, honestly, I carried one with me. I had no idea. I was so attached, but I felt like maybe if I don't see myself occasionally in the mirror, that maybe I don't exist. And I will confess, doing walking meditation, sun behind me, seeing my shadow in front, walking along slowly, looking at my shadow, and suddenly going, oh. And thinking, my hair is sticking up. Anyways, so that was my first experience. It lasted for about 2 weeks. Following that, the next year I was in Indonesia, in Java, where I did a 2-week retreat as well at a Buddhist monastery with 4 mosques surrounding this temple. And they started at 3 in the morning, and they chanted 5 times a day. 4 mosques with loudspeakers. It was exciting. And a year or 2 following that, I was in Bali. There were no mosques, and I had a mattress. I was moving up in the world. But there I was bitten by the rabid dog. And of course, you know me. Some of you really, you know me through the rabid dog bite on my ankle, right? Nice 2-inch scar. I still have it. I went back there 2 years, the next year as well, and did another retreat so that I could kind of defuse the image of that fear that I might have contained there, and also to check and see if my blood had been washed off the wall in the temple, and it was gone. There was no trace that I had been there. They took me to the hospital in my robes, and then I said, I have to go back to my retreat. I'm in silence, and back in I went. Somebody wanted to interview me from the newspaper, and they said, well, she's in silence. You'll have to wait until she finishes her retreat. And by then, of course, the story was a week or 2 old, so it wasn't worthwhile. But so that you know that all retreats are not all hard beds and bloody ankles, there's often some wonderful things that happen while you're on a retreat, a solitary retreat. And one of them was my great connection with my Yidam, which is kind of a personal bodhisattva, somebody who I hope to emulate and is kind of around in my life, and that is Kuan Yin. She is the bodhisattva of compassion. My second stay in Bali at that monastery, I wrote a poem. I'm a visual artist, I'm not a poet, but anyways, but when you go on retreat, often creativity flows when you turn off the TV and don't connect with the internet, and you're not reading. Suddenly, you're a poet or something, and things start coming out. I'm also a fiber artist, as you heard, and so I sometimes say that I found Buddha with my robes or something, so this is a bit of a robe poem, so putting on her robes. This is about Kuan Yin, so bear with me. Slipping my arms through the robes of her floating white garment, wrapping that cloth around me, and raising the hood to my crown, I dwell in the soft white remnant of love and compassion. I open my eyes and see the world through her eyes, seeing this pain and suffering, and with graceful equanimity of the Bodhisattva, I wash it in compassion and reflective truth. I smell the noxious fumes of anger and deceit, and transform it with pervasive perfume of the lotus-born kindness and truth. I taste the labor and efforts of numerous caregivers, and hold the plum of generous effort on my tongue with gratitude. I hear the tap of the elder's cane and the shrieks of children and the cooing of birds, the engines and swoosh of a felled tree, and I am content, connected and in harmony with the multitude beings that weave me into that web of interconnected humanity. I stand and step forward in flowing robes, moving through that vibrant air, as my bodhisattva in body, in heart, and with a quiet, focused mind, radiantly clear and sky-like, to experience that waking world as my yidam, to be awakened and transformed. It was wonderful to just take myself and put myself into her space and look out the world through her eyes. What might the world look like if I was looking it out through an enlightened being's eyes? Of course, I had to wrap herself in her robes. That worked. My longest solitary retreat was 1 month at Chintamani Retreat Center in south of Cuernavaca in Mexico. Each one of these solitary retreats was significant and came with some kind of a breakthrough, usually happening 6 or 8 days after settling in. They were all silent retreats, not guided. 4 of them were at Theravadan monasteries where 2 meals were provided before noon, and the other 2 I was completely on my own, packing in my food and getting a food drop every 2 weeks, as I'll be doing in Sudarshanaloka. By the way, I'll be speaking more about Sudarshanaloka in the second half when we turn on slides for you, and I hope I'll be answering all of your questions at that time. When I'm on a solitary retreat, I am not told what to expect. I'm on my own, schedule, preparing conditions for practice. People ask me, can I do this? Can I bring that? I said, I can hold a disco party if I want to. No one is going to tell me. It's me that puts up the limits, that knows that what I want to do is have this quiet disconnect. After 29 years of meditation practice and years of Dharma study and training, it's my chance to really sit with it and think about it. And we, in our order, are asked to take a month off each year to do retreat, to be by ourselves and to see what happens. I've been lusting after this for so many years, I just can't tell you. I've often told people, since seeing Birdman of Alcatraz movie in my teens, they never put me in solitary confinement, but I was ready, so I'm doing it for myself. Those who are not ordained are asked to have a well-grounded daily meditation practice, to consult with a teacher, and to start off with a shorter retreat, solo retreat of maybe a week or 2. I'm a good researcher, and so I have read everything I could find on everyone else's retreats to understand what they went through and what I might encounter. And one of the things I found was a story about one young man in his 20s, a new meditator, who wanted to do a solitary retreat, and his teacher was Trungpa Rinpoche. So he was sent off to Vermont with less than a year's practice of meditation to do this solitary that he wanted to do. And after 3 days alone, he came running out of the woods to his car in his pajamas with his slippers on at 3 o'clock in the morning and took off. He had had enough. They say that demons can show up. I never found demons, but I certainly did find myself in some of these retreats, and really was able to look at myself and how I behave in the world, how I move in the world, and it really helps tremendously. By the way, this man in the pajamas with the slippers became a very well-known Vajrayana teacher, and he did try it again and was much, much more successful. So I go to the wise for advice and for encouragement, and they say, one of my favorite guys, Atisha, 11th century Tibetan, he says, go far away from any place that is harmful to your practice. Always stay in a place that is conducive to virtue.